Dear students, let us start the discussion on 01st December 2016 newspaper. The first article is by M.K. Narayan, that is about writing a Pakistan playbook. So in this article, we need to analyze few things. What was the history of India-Pakistan relations? And what India gave and what India got from Pakistan? And the second thing is, what are the factors that determine India's policy towards Pakistan? In this context, how the world is reacting to the same. These are the things we need to analyze. If historically, if we observe, India gave more than what it sought from the Pakistan. Let us take this way. Either Indus Water Treaty between Jawaharlal Nehru and Ayub Khan or the Shimla Agreement between Bhutto and Indira Gandhi. There was more concessions given from Indian side expecting the good relations from Pakistan. We always believed that the stable India-Pakistan relations are necessary for their collective prosperity. On the other hand, if domestic politics of the Pakistan are taken into consideration, the very existence of the military is dependent on anti-Indianism. So any normalization of the ties, even if they are in favor towards the Pakistan, it is going to question the existence of the military and its role with regard to the Pakistan. So, the military opposes every move that tries to bring in stability in the relations between these two countries. And the second is hyphenation between India and Pakistan. The world tries to project India and Pakistan or try to color India and Pakistan with the same brush. The narrative of Pakistan on Balochistan and narrative of India on Kashmir with regard to the Pakistan's intervention are seen alike. It is giving rise to more and more hyphenation. So when Prime Minister Modi spoke about unrest in Balochistan and human rights violations in Balochistan, the Pakistan tried to project or equate that with Kashmir. So in this context, again the Pakistan's interest is in hyphenating India-Pakistan actions with each other. The world is also ready to consume the same thing. And the geostrategic location of Pakistan vis-a-vis China and its central role in its One Belt One Road initiative, it is also the cause of concern for India. Because India cannot afford to have enemies on both the sides on the two fronts. So if you read the Ramachandra Guha's India after Gandhiji, Nehru in his last days always has tried to minimize the impact or minimize the issues with Pakistan after the India-China war because India cannot afford to have two enemies on two sides or two fronts. In this context, already the China and Pakistan are very close to each other and their economic entanglement in the form of China-Pakistan economic corridor shall be a cause of concern to India. Added to that, India's reapproachment to United States of America or moving closeness to United States of America is also realigning the balance of power and Russia has recently conducted the military exercises with Pakistan. So we need to take all this into context and consideration while we make a policy towards Pakistan. And everyone agrees that Pakistan has a terror groups or terror elements in the country. But however, they are not in alignment with the Indian argument that the Pakistan shall be declared as a terror state or Pakistan's policy of sponsoring of the terror need to be stopped. The reason is, if you talk about the Saudi Arabia, it has agreed to the India stand that no country shall sponsor the terrorism. But at the same time, with regard to the Islamic Conference of Nations, the Saudi Arabia has supported the Pakistan stand on Kashmir. It means that countries are not ready to acknowledge the Pakistan's role and its sponsorship of the terrorism in India. So in this context, we need to take the role of the Pakistan's army in its domestic politics and then role of Pakistan in Kashmir and the violence in Kashmir and then its efforts to hyphenate itself with India and China's efforts to hyphenate India and Pakistan with each other and growing proximity between Russia, China and Pakistan, all these shall come into play when we make our Pakistan policy. And India's policy is mostly conventional vis-a-vis with the Pakistan is concerned. It is to give more and if necessary take few retaliatory steps. This was the policy from the days of Nehru till the days of today's Modi. So in this, the ultimate objective of India is to bring a greater deterrence for the Pakistan to act against India and to it itself act against the terror infrastructure that is existing in the country. So, few of the authors in the last week suggested that India also shall develop the channels to engage with military. Even though India engages with military of Pakistan, I don't see a perpetual gains for India because every institution in a country has to prove its relevance or rationale for its existence. The very existence of the military in Pakistan itself is anti-Indianism. So to what extent India's engagement with Pakistan army will be fruitful? And the isolation of the Pakistan is also not possible because of the reason that every country tries to engage with the other country based on its self-interest. And India will not be better placed to impose the same. India's missing girl children. So with regard to this article, the sex ratio in India is for worsening and it is disfavorable to women. Now, the sex ratio at birth, if we observe between 2013 and 14, it has decreased from 898 to 887. The major reason being the female feticide. The socio-cultural mindset in the country has to change for this. The son preference is increasing with the growth of the nuclear families in the country. And the second thing is, the girl children have no proper educational and employment opportunities, and the customs such as dowry makes the parents to feel a girl child as a burden on the family. So government has made multiple efforts such as Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, and added to that the cradle scheme in Tamil Nadu, but their impact is very little on the ground. If we carefully observe the situation in Tamil Nadu, in spite of being a socially progressive state, there is also a decline in sex ratio in this particular state. What might be the reason? The one is lax implementation of sex selective abortions. And second is failure to deepen the socio-cultural impact or failure to deepen the understanding of the socio-cultural impact due to decline in the girl child population. And added to that, if we need to bring in a change, save our girl children, we have to bring in a comprehensive understanding of the social causes of this menace. If you observe the previous questions, the UPSC has asked what are the consequences of the female feticide can be around 2009. This was the question. And the female feticide, what are the reasons? So these are the questions you need to prepare for on this topic. Now coming to the recent Supreme Court judgment, the Supreme Court has said that all the cinema halls before playing a movie shall play the national anthem and the moviegoers has to stand up in respect towards the national anthem. All the doors need to be closed while the national anthem is being played for. This is the judgment. Now in this context, Emmanuel in versus state of Kerala and others case we need to understand. Now before going into that, let us see certain constitutional provisions. Article 51A of the Constitution, it provides for fundamental duties. It says, it is the duty of every citizen to abide by the Constitution, to respect its institutions, the national anthem, national flag. This is what the article talks about. But however, it is the duty of every citizen, moral duty of the every citizen, to be guided by the nationalistic values and the patriotism. And to what extent democratic institutions can impose the same. So, Emmanuel versus State of Kerala case, if you see, let's understand the background of this. There are 3 girl children who were standing when the national anthem is being sung in the class, but they were not singing the national anthem. So they were standing, but they are not singing. The reason is the religion they follow, it will not allow them for sing. Now, certain religions have restrictions on singing. So, as they follow a particular thought of religion, they are not expected to sing. So, that's why they are not singing the national anthem. So one of the person challenged this, and these three children are expelled from the school. Then the matter went before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the freedom of conscience, freedom to profess, practice, and propagate a religion need to be protected. No article or no law in the country says that a person shall sing a national anthem. So, in this context, the Supreme Court has highlighted the need for tolerance. This country preaches for tolerance, philosophy preaches for tolerance, constitution preaches for tolerance. That's what is the Supreme Court has said. And the case, according to me, is very much different when we compare the present judgment. Even in the present judgment, the Supreme Court did not say that a person has to sing the national anthem. He has to just stand up as a matter of respect towards it, to identify itself with the nationalism and patriotism. Now, coming to the reeling out of patriotism. So, the centrality of this article is the nationalism and patriotism. These are an inbuilt or characteristics of an individual. These cannot be forcibly enforced onto a mind of a person. And using the cinema as a medium to promote the same may not be appropriate. The reason being is, now, every movie is a commercial, it has a commercial element in it. And it also has an element of artistic expression. So, in this context, if you keep aside the freedoms and rights of the citizens, more and more from the movie, using the movie or cinema as a object to promote a message of patriotism, a message of habitual change, it's going to interfere with the artistic freedoms and notions. That's what it talks about. Added to that, it may not be wise to play the national anthem before a movie that has got too much of commercial elements or too much of, let's say, the article uses indirectly. For example, in an indecent movie, we cannot expect the national anthem to be played. That's what is the centrality of the article. Now, coming back to the things, my notes, writing a new Pakistan playbook. Remember this, India needs a consistent policy towards Pakistan. And this policy shall ensure that India and Pakistan are not hyphenated with each other. And India has made substantial gains to de-hyphenate itself from Pakistan in the last decade. And India has to move further on the same lines. And second is, engaging with Pakistan military may not be a right approach to India, the reason being the military very existence in Pakistan lies on anti-Indianism and no constructive thing can be expected. And third thing is the ceasefire agreement in 2003. It has got significant gains for India and also significant gains for peace and can be a way forward. And India is always considerate to the Pakistani concerns and it gave more than what it took from Pakistan. So, Pakistan shall respect this and there shall not be a zero-sum game in the interest. And the growing unrest in Kashmir and Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism, changing geopolitics, all shall be taken into consideration when we make a consistent policy towards Pakistan. But however, the knee-jerk reactions need to be avoided and India shall ensure that it has a consistency in its actions. That's what the author talks about. India's missing girl children. The worsening of the sex ratio is a reflection of the female feticide. It's going to cause the social tensions in the future. The major, to curtail this menace, the major action shall come from changing the socio-cultural mindset of the country. And paternalism and all these patriarchal attitudes, all this comes under this socio-cultural mindset. National anthem in cinema halls. We discussed about the Supreme Court judgment with regard to this respect. Now, the question of the day, India needs a consistent policy towards Pakistan. It needs to avoid any step that leads to hyphenation between the nations. So, it means, what are the points we need to stress on here? So, the first thing is, the changing geopolitical situation, why or what has worked between India and Pakistan in the past, and why do we need a durable peace across the LOC in this context. You can also talk about Agra summit, Lahore bus travel by the Prime Minister Vajpayee. So from this perspective, you can generate an answer. Right? Thank you very much.